If you don't teach your kids how money works, the world will, and it would not be gentle. Hello, everybody. This is Vladimir Nemchinov with InvestSteady.com. Welcome to another live 9 o'clock live with me. Today we're talking about kids. My kids are about to be 6 and 8.5. So I only know that part. I do not know preteens, twins, whatever they call teenagers. I do not know that. There's my disclaimer for you. I will speak of whatever I know and I guess what my plan this far. As one of the pastors that I know would say, I was a good parent until I became one. So there's that. I'll try to improvise. All right. Teach your kids 5 to 12 about earning and spending. Money comes from work. Saving is normal. You don't buy everything you want. Simple habits stick for life. This would be one of the first lessons that I agree with, and that's what I'm teaching my kids. There are different schools of thoughts, right? Some people just give allowance. I would like to teach them that money doesn't come from you being my child, but money comes from work. You do something, you get money. That's what I would like to teach them. My kids, anyways. Saving is normal. Currently, what I'm teaching them is the money they get, a 10% goes to God. Okay, tithe. 10% goes to saving or goes into account. The rest is you can save to get something, or you kind of want to do whatever you want with it. However, like if we go to the store, I tell them take $5 with you, take $10 with you, so that they don't spend everything at once. And I try to discipline them. Okay, this is how much you have. This is how much you need to spend. You want to get toy? No problem. You want to waste that, in our language, you waste that money on toy? No problem. But you have $5. Like if we go to a thrift store, you can get something for $5. Okay, of course, I'm not counting taxes. I don't worry about that. If I need to, I add up, basically. But that is the goal. Also, I don't make them break $1 into 10 cents and another 10 cents. But for example, if my oldest get like $10, $1 goes to God. We bring it to church on Sunday. If he gets $100, which happened before, he will bring $10. So this is what I'm teaching our kids about finances. Let's answer, I should say, a question. How do you teach good money habits to kids? My son is 17. Wrong question. That's going to be down the road, starting with little kids first. Ever teach your kids the money game? I'm teaching my kids the wealth game. I'm wondering what percentage of parents actually teach their kids some advice when it comes to money. It seems like many are too caught up in busyness of life, reassuring themselves that school will cover everything. The truth is that the critical skills like money management, stress management, and public speaking that often fall through the cracks, neither taught by parents nor addressed in schools. These gaps, these this gap leaves many graduates unprepared for the realities of life. At least I felt that way when I graduated. I had to learn these lessons the hard way. What's your experience on the subject? Unfortunately, I had to learn some of it. I would say my experience wasn't the hard way. However, I did have to learn through experience, which I think is what smart people do. Smart people learn from their mistakes. Wise people learn from somebody else's mistakes. So there's a lot of mistakes that I have not done because I learned from other people or from hearing what other people have done. And one of the goals is, for me, I started reading to my kids 38 Letters of Rockefeller to His Son book, and it's boring. It's boring to them. However, interesting things I saw there that if Rockefeller is on the hill, first of all, if your parents are on the hill, you grow up on the hill. If your parents are down at the foot of the hill, that's where you grow up. That's the environment you grow up. It doesn't define you. You can get from the bottom of the or the foot of the hill all the way to the top of the hill, and vice versa. If you grew up with parents on the top of the hill, there's no guarantees you're not gonna roll all the way down. So I really like that. I like that visual. I like how he was talking about that. Also, why was I saying that? About teaching kids that my goal as a parent, and I'm sure if you're a parent, it's the same thing for you. If all the knowledge we get, I'm 40, all the knowledge I have at 40, if I can get to my 8-year old's head, he's gonna go way beyond me because I start from zero, right? A lot of things were not taught to me. I had to learn them the hard way. It took me this much, this long. So now, if I'm teaching that to my child at his age earlier, some of these things he will learn, he will be ahead of me at 40 because he already has the knowledge that I had at 40. Does that make sense? So obviously, it's harder to accomplish than to speak about. But I do very much think about that. I do. I don't wish things because I trust God's timing, but um, I know if I knew these things when I was 20, when I just came to America, I would be better off. And I'm not saying I'm poor or anything like that. I do believe I'm very blessed. My family is very blessed. Um, anyway, so all these things I would like to teach my kids so that they are ahead of me. Okay, moving on. Teach teenagers about debt and credit. Credit cards are not free money. Car payments steal flexibility. Student loans have real consequences. Prevent mistakes instead of fixing them later. Again, back to what I just said. I want to teach them, okay, don't do this. Don't do drugs. Don't drink alcohol. Nothing good comes out of alcohol. Do not smoke. It's very simple for most people, anyways. But and same with money. Do not use credit cards. Okay, a lot of people use them. A lot of people believe that they need to be used. I don't believe that. I don't use them. I don't want them to use it. You have money, you can afford it, you buy it. If you're using credit card, you cannot afford it, you cannot buy it, don't buy it. Don't spend your future money, essentially. Um, let's look at another question. What are some good ideas to teach kids the value of money? Two kids, 18 and 13, they receive a weekly allowance, have a homemade checking account at the First National Bank of Dad. And I review their accounts with them monthly, but it's not really sinking in. Any tips or tricks to get kids engaged in budgeting or help them appreciate the value of money? Well, my 8-year-old grasping more, but I still don't think he understands the value of money. He obviously better off than a 6-year-old, but still working on that. Okay, now allowance. There's again several school of thoughts about allowance. Um, Allowance, if it's just money every month, every week because you breathe, I don't agree with that. However, there's also another point of allowance. So, for example, if I budget, we in our family budget some money for clothes, let's say, or some entertainment for kids. We can give it to them in the form of allowance. I think at a later age, like 13, probably would be a good time when, in my opinion, again, when you give it to them. Okay, this is for your new shoes, 2 pairs of shoes for a year, let's say, your school year. Um, this is for your clothes. Okay, so, and then they can choose. Do I want to buy two pair of shoes throughout the year, or I wear one pair of shoes a whole year and then save the rest of the money and do something else with it? Okay, or I buy a fancier pair of shoes um, instead of two cheaper pairs of shoes. I kind of like that because it does teach. I believe it would teach a child to, okay, I wasted everything. Now I need to wear old shoes all year at school, and kids gonna make fun of me and stuff. I think this is a good lesson, and this is how life works, um, in my opinion. So, so that's what I think about allowance. Personally, we do not give allowance yet. Anyways, like the only allowance that I agree with is when, okay, this is our budget for a month. You guys can spend that money any way you want, but this is money for your clothes and your shoes, hats, gloves, whatever. We live in Ohio. Um, so now the again, we're not doing it yet, but we do teach them that money comes from work. Uh, okay, you're gonna cut our grass. I actually had my son buy a lawnmower from me for $10, I think, or $20. Um, and then I told him, you're gonna cut grass. It's gonna be $15. Okay, I'm cheap with our property. Our neighbor pays him $20. That's how we were able to fund $250 into his Roth IRA last year, and he's 8 years old. Um, so these things he's learning. And sometimes, hey, you can cut grass. You can every week you can make that money. Obviously, he is into playing games and stuff like that. Sometimes he doesn't. And if I cut it, I make it a point. Well, you could make this money, $15, but you haven't. So you're not getting them. So I'm kind of trying to learn that, yeah, your choices have consequences in real life. Um, okay, let's look at the next one. At what age and how much? My kids are 5 and 7. They are in a summer camp that has an ice cream truck every Thursday, where they can get a treat for $5. Last summer, I just paid for the treat. This summer, I'm tempting to just give them $5 and tell them they can either get ice cream or save it. Both seemed interested in saving. This got me thinking about just giving them an allowance, maybe weekly $1, five weekly for the 5-year-old, and seven weekly for the 7-year-old. I know some people tie allowance to chores. I know some people that specifically against that because they want the kids to clean up after themselves without expectation of pay. I also see this as an opportunity to learn about money. Teaching them financial literacy is worth the $300 a year. So, if I want to err on one side or the other, I would definitely err on the side I'll pay them for chores so that they know they do stuff, they get paid. However, I do want them to clean up, and I do pay for chores. I do ask them to do stuff, clean up, for example, and there's no expectation for me to pay them. However, sometimes I do, hey, you guys do this, you'll get this much. Okay, when we are working on our rental properties, often they would do something, and I would tell them, okay, this project would be $1. You want to do it, you can make $1. This project is more complex, and you will get $5 for my oldest, for example. Okay, so if I do give them that amount, then I'll likely keep stop buying them stuff outside of birthdays and holidays, and try to teach them how to budget their money and better understand instant versus delayed gratification. Thoughts on cash versus account? Any thoughts, ideas on this? Okay, so um, the understanding of instant versus delayed gratification. A lot of adults need to learn that. I need to learn that. Everybody needs to learn that. And it's one of the hardest questions, and that's why America is in debt. Because I want it now. I want it all, and I want it now. That is, so far, is a hard thing to teach kids in my age group. Okay, but this is a good goal. I do believe I've heard somewhere on Family Life Today, maybe one of the Christian radio shows about family raising kids, how they say that um, there are several stages in kids' life, right, for us, and this is how I would separate it probably. Um, from 0 to, let's say, 8 to 10, um, I believe I need to tell kids everything that needs to be done. You do this, and they need to do it. Okay, then middle stage, let's say 10 to 14, 15 maybe, pushing it. It's the stage when I ask them, okay, what do you think is best? What should you do in this situation? And the third stage, 14, 15 and up, is I can't tell them anymore. I need to let them, give them almost, I want to say, complete freedom to do stuff. I still want to have home rules, of course, but they need to make choices because I want them to fail, and they will fail. I want them to fail at that time while they're under my wing at my house. Because once they're gone, and if you were holding them in a tight grip, they will be out and do everything opposite. Allegedly, from what I observed and what I believe will happen. So I want them to make mistakes. I want them to make mistakes money, with anything else, really. When I can talk to them when they're still under my wing, I do want to raise them in the way that we can talk when they're teenagers. Um, I hear it's complicated and it's not that easy. And kids think that you're a god when they're young, and then when they're teenagers, they think that you're the stupidest person in the whole world. So we'll see how that goes, but I would like to have a relationship with them in a way that they fail, they can come to me and we can talk about that, or at least they can share with me and trust me that I'm not gonna scold them. That's why um, I, I'm I'm working on the way I react when they tell me something. I never want to overreact, so that they can come to me and tell me. Obviously, I teach them honesty. Honesty is very important for myself, and I want them to realize how important it is. All right. Teach adult kids about order. Budget first, kill the debt, full emergency fund, invest 15%. Most young adults aren't lazy, they're just confused. So, these are the things that, or this is the order that obviously I'm talking to you about. This is the order I'm following, the wealth game. I would like to gradually bring my kids into that. This is the order you do things. I like strategies. I like um, developing first before I go and attack. Okay, I want to make sure my six is protected and covered before I go and venture out. So that's why I like my I like our portfolio of real estate that protects me in case I lose my job or whatever. We can technically live on the income from the real estate, and that's I call myself safe or conservative investor. For somebody, it may be way out of comfort zone. For me, I believe I'm conservative, and this is how I uh, do our investment so that it protects our family. So I don't risk. I put everything on the red when I invest. Okay, let's look at the next question. How to teach personal finances to a teenager? I'm a parent of a 14-year-old boy. I want him to be good at personal finances. How do I educate? How do you educate your kids? Are there any books you can recommend reading for kids who is 14 years old? So this I like to teach my kids a concept of building future. You can't predict future, but you can build it, I believe. And by starting with our holidays, or even the weekends, like, okay, let's build our Saturday. What do we want to get done? Like, my wife would tell me a couple of things. Okay, clean the house or something. I want to do this, and I want this to get done. And then kids, oh, want to play, want to watch, and then we put it on schedule, and so we build their future. And I think it's a great concept, and I think it's really, I need to be better at this. It's definitely easier with kids doing on the weekends, but that's what calendar is. That's what budgeting is. It's you planning your future, where your money gonna go, what you're going to do with them. That is the future. So um, again, at 14, I believe that's what you need to teach them, the budget. You need to allow them to fail. You need to allow them to have this money. Yes, they might blow it, um, but that's okay. But they need to learn a hard lesson. If you tell them something and they don't listen to you, and you just keep telling them, nothing's going to change. They're going to learn that what you say doesn't mean anything. And that is the hardest thing for me as a parent to learn. But same, I imagine, with teenagers. If you I'll tell them use your money this way, but you're actually doing it differently, then it's hard to teach them something without showing it, because if you do it one way and then you tell them a different way, just like with anything in life, they're not gonna listen. Okay. Model it. Kids copy behavior more than lectures. If they see discipline, they will absorb discipline. So I do believe we need to share with our kids our winnings and how we want to manage the money or how we are managing. They don't need to know our net worth per se or how much money we have in the bank. Like kids, my kids know, but again, their concept of money is very vague, so they don't understand. Um, let's look at another question. How do you teach good money habits to kids? My son is 17 and started his first job at as a courtesy clerk in a grocery store in August. He makes 13 an hour, 25 hours a week, and he blows all his money on Uber and eating out and streaming games. Well, okay, so now we are with the teenage years when he is making his own money. I do believe um, he needs to have expenses. For example, cell phone. Okay, he has a cell phone, he needs to pay for it. He's streaming, he needs to pay a portion of the internet bill, right? He's using your internet, he needs to pitch in. This is the real life. If he is out in the world, he has to have roommates, he has to have split the money, the bills into whatever, however many way. Um, so now in this case, he needs to have these bills because if he doesn't have any bills, he can spend whatever with money, he can do whatever. Okay, but if he has a cell phone bill that he has to pay now, well, now he needs to think. And when he doesn't and he spend all the money on Uber and eating out, and cell phone bill comes and the cell phone gets turned off, he'll be like, next month I want to make sure I have money to pay my cell phone bill. I strongly believe that we cannot cuddle our kids into being good adults. We cannot do that. Anyways, continue reading here. I want him to establish good money habits. For whatever reason, it took me 15 years of adult life to establish good money habits, and I don't want that for him. Obviously, that probably meant 15 years to this point. So now, where he's at, it took him 15 years, and his son is just kind of starting there. Unfortunately, he's almost grown, and so I'm starting with teaching him late. Any tips before he goes down bad path? Or did I start too late with habits? I grew up very poor, so I never wanted him to stress over money like I did. Sadly, I think I went too far in the opposite direction. So, as we all know, hard times make strong men. Strong men make easy times. Easy times make weak men. Weak men make hard times. And this is the cycle. Yes, maybe myself, we grew up in post-Soviet Union country, right? Some people a little bit older grew up in Soviet Union. Hard times, okay? We are the way we are because we grew up through hard times. Then we come here and then we have people who are being cuddled when their mothers takes their grown, kids, adult kids, to have interviews for them. This is messed up. But that's what happening. Because we had hard times. I know a person actually, She bought her first car, probably, I don't know, super early. She had to save for it. She had no help. She's a strong woman. She's very dedicated. She has some education. She studied a lot. She's a hard worker. She gave everything to her kids. Whatever they pretty much needed or wanted, they needed is one thing, but wanted, she gave them. Now they have no motivation. They do what they want. There's no what she had. But why she had it? Because she had hard times. So she decided to make easy times for them. And she did. But now that those easy times made them weak people. So overcorrecting is a bad problem. In the world, there will be no holding hands in the real world. So people, if they have a crutch as a parent, I do believe that then they're gonna be trying to use that crutch when they're older, but they're not gonna believe in themselves because we didn't believe in them. We didn't tell them when they fall down. We didn't tell them, get up, you can do it. It's okay. You got hurt, no problem. Not suck it up, buttercup. Maybe it's a little too much, but in these terms. And the same thing with finances. At 17, he needs to fail now while he's with you. Yes, you started late, but better late than never. The best time start probably when they're 1 year old, but you have 17-year-old. You can't undo this. So now you can start. I'm sorry, I was wrong. The way I allow these things to happen, I don't want you to be weak. I want you to be strong. And this is what needs to happen. So what I would do probably in this situation, I would say, okay, you're living here. You have these expenses. You want to use internet for your streaming games, no problem. You will use internet, but you have to pay. Okay, let's say there's myself and my wife and my 17-year-old in this scenario, right? We're gonna split three-way. Internet is cost, let's say $30. You have to pay every month $10 if you can't. That's okay, no problem. But you can't use internet. Okay, you're using Uber, drive everywhere, no problem. But you need to pay for that. I cannot pay for this. Okay, and then cell phone, all these necessities that he will have. Okay, now we need to, you wasting that money. You will need to pay for rent, and maybe we save this money and then bless you when you get kicked out of the nest. But these are the things you'll have to do now. It's not gonna be easy, but it's okay. Again, better late than never. You will not teach them everything you learned in 15 years, but something he will see hopefully in that year he's still with you. um, I'm wishing you well. I'm wishing all of you guys well. Just wanted to share that about kids. It's important to me. My wife is number one after God, and then my kids. They do not precede my wife. Love my wife more than anybody, but I do want them to succeed in life. I don't want to enable them to be whiny little brats. I want them to be strong. I love them. Uh, well, for those of you who are still here, thank you for joining this live. I'll see you tomorrow. And with one thing I want to basically end. The greatest inheritance you can give your kids isn't money, it's financial understanding. What level are you on?